Cue the music. And we are live in 5, 4. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Corner Wrestling Radio. C2C Radio is on the air live at C2CRadioshow.com, through Spreaker.com/corner to corner, Apple, Amazon, Google Play, and all your favorite podcast locations. I'm Stan Grubb, and my tag team partners, as always, Rob Hefner. What's up, man?
That has to be one of the saddest intros you've done in a while.
You do it.
Yeah, you do it. You do it.
Like,
come on, Golden Pipes, let's go. Come
motherfucker.
on. Damn.
Hi, guys.
Wow, we're not even 20 seconds in and he's cussing. Damn.
Hey, listen, if MJF can do it at the media scrum, I'm now going to copy him.
Dude. I feel like we're going to end up spending a lot of time talking about the scrum, too. And you heard him. He's here. Brian Taylor. What's up, Brian?
What did he call them? Rat faces?
The first guy that he talked to, he said he looked like a rat with his hair all slicked back, and he called them the tier group of the tier group of marks or something like that. It was really, he lit in to pretty much everybody that was quote unquote media. Well, he lit into everybody. Let's be real. That's just MJF.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's just fucking around with everybody. I'm sure, except that poor little kid. That little kid had it coming. I don't know what he said to MJF to get that water thrown on him. Yeah, you just can't talk. You can't talk to the champ like that, kid.
Yeah, apparently
it's a waste of $8.
Talk to his mom like that too, because she's the one that cued MJF to throw the drink on him.
I don't care what they say. I think that was a work.
It's completely a work. So they're MJF, middle of the Iron Man match, only a few minutes in actually, is outside the ring, and he's trying to keep away from Danielson. He's trying to piss him off. So they get into this brawl. They finally are fighting on the outside, and then MJF is in the crowd. And he sees this lady. She's holding a drink, and she says something to him. And he kind of nods, and he grabs the drink. He doesn't really snatch it, you know what I mean? He just reaches and grabs the drink, and then turns and whatever all over this kid. And the kid's not even looking up. He's looking down. Like, he's not paying attention. So, well, either he's not paying attention or he knows it's coming. I'll put it that way. I'm convinced that it was a plant. Although, if you ask any media person, there's, that kid had no idea it was coming, and then there's parents out there all upset. Now, look, if it was legitimately him throwing a drink on an actual kid that didn't know it was coming and all of that, okay, I get it. I get some of the anger on it. But, I mean, here's what happens after the fact. Titus was this kid's name. He goes backstage. Amanda Huber, Brody Lee's wife, is there sitting with him. They give him a bunch of foam fingers for like the Acclaimed and everything. He gets to meet Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs for those that forgot his first name. And Tony Khan even talks about how much of a pro he was during the media scrum. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. I'm pretty sure it was a work.
Yeah, and then he say he's going to like Vegas or something too. Right.
We're going to see more of Titus. I guess it's a thing now. Titus is going to be in the crowd. Inevitably, go ahead.
No, is this their version of the kid that wrestled with Braun Strowman?
Oh, God. When MJF loses the title, it's going to be because of this kid throwing a drink at him or something.
That's going to be awesome.
But if you haven't guessed, AEW Revolution was just last night. Hey, thankfully, it didn't keep us up until 2 o'clock in the morning, unless, of course, you were watching the media scrum. Solid pay-per-view all around. We're going to be spending a pretty good amount of time talking about this pay-per-view because there's a lot. Brian said it earlier in the chat. There's a lot to unpack with this event. But we'll start in order. We got the buy-in, the 0 hour. I keep calling it the buy-in. Damn it. 0 hour.
One day you'll
pre-show.
become an AEW aficionado.
Right. One of these days I'll be good enough to be a fan. They have the varsity athletes and Arya Davari against Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros. Guys, admittedly, I missed 0 hour, so I did not catch this match. What did you guys think of it?
I mean, it's not bad. It's Mark Briscoe, right?
Yep.
So that's a good thing. Maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more with Mark Briscoe, which again is a good thing. It's good to see him get the win. It's good to see the Lucha Brothers get the win. Not a fan of Arya Davari, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Arya Davari, another 205 Live WWE NXT castaway. That he's working in AEW. He had a stable at some point. What they called the Truth Busters or Trust Busters or whatever the hell.
Yeah, right? I think he still does.
Well, I think 2/3 of that group was now with Swerve.
I don't think 2/3. I think one.
Oh, that's right. The other guy was like a pro baseball player or something.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
The one thing that I took away from just the build up to this match, admittedly, like I said, I didn't catch the match itself, but Mark Briscoe cutting a promo about how he had a dream that he had to get ready for a match, and it was already going on, and he was running late, and he looked everywhere and he couldn't find his brother, and he said, "Oh wait, he must be already out there," and he runs out there and realizes that he's not there. He's in heaven waiting for him, which I don't know how many times he's going to be able to do that. That keeps messing us up because that's emotional still. But he says that, and then he says, "But you know what? My friends were there, my brothers were there," and he talks about the Lucha Bros. Just a great promo setting up this 6-man tag or the trios match. Mark Briscoe has that unique thing, that unique factor that if he plays his cards right, if he continues, and we already know that he's good in the ring. I don't think that'll ever be a question. He really could position himself as a top star, even more of a top star, but actually a top star in AEW, just by staying the course.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, of course, that means he's going to have to give up them tag titles.
Yeah.
But since I guess he is AEW, I'd keep him on AEW.
Yeah.
Now, and short of a title run of some kind in ROH, to me, he would definitely stay AEW.
I think a lot of people thought of Eddie Kingston as that next underdog kind of character that could come out and be world champion. But I might have to replace that and say that Mark Briscoe coming out and beating MJF could actually happen at some point, either this year or next.
No. I didn't come up with some crazy scenario. And when I say world title, I mean ROH. That would have to be, you couldn't have him beat MJF. There's no way. Right? Again, the guy that beats MJF can be one of those rare breeds. And while Mark beating MJF would be feel good.
Yeah. That's exactly what it would be. It's one of those moments where, like, back in Crockett days where the title changes hands once and then a few days later it changes hands again kind of situation would be my thought.
He'd be the Ron Garvin.
Well, I don't know about
Ron
Garvin.
Garvin beat Ric Flair, and then it was like next night. Never mind.
So, we can play what ifs, but did y'all not watch the main event last night?
I
in
mean,
Revolution.
I'm saying Daniel Bryan's getting his due.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, if Daniel Bryan can't, or, well, my Lord have mercy, Bryan Danielson can't beat him in a match like that, no offense, I don't see Mark. I mean, like, when I say a feel-good moment, it's a DQ win. He's not going to, I would put the ROH world title on him and not have a problem. I don't see how you can put the AEW world title on him. That's like I just don't see how you can put it on him. And no slight, but
I see him as AEW. I see him coming in and fighting for the All Atlantic title, the TNT title frequently. I see him being those people that come in and go and comes in, fights, get the belt, keeps it for a little while, loses it, disappears for a little bit, comes back, It'd be interesting to see what Ring of Honor does with the tag belts. Do they come up with a new design? Do they just, So.
Well, Mark Briscoe is 38 years old, so it's not exactly like he's going to be wrestling for the next 10 years. Although, if he stays in good shape, maybe he can. But the guy's been through a lot physically. I could see him having a TNT title run or a All Atlantic. I like that they've made the All Atlantic title have some value in a pretty short amount of time. I don't know if it accomplished what they wanted internationally, but there's still plenty of time for that. It's still a relatively young title.
That's the International Atlantic title.
Right.
Just kidding. God. Wake up, Stan.
No, it's only All Atlantic, not International Atlantic.
You said it doesn't do the International then. I was like, that's the International Atlantic title.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, well, I was really not picking up on it. Whew, okay. Well, Rob's
don't
just
worry,
on it, and I am not.
I didn't pick up on it either.
It's all right. I'm just slow.
Hey,
it's okay.
Not all of them are winners, people, okay?
So going into this pay-per-view, we did our predictions last week. We had pretty high hopes, some questions that I think we got answered, and some good stories that came to a close for us. Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks starts off the actual pay-per-view event. And this was, hey, to their credit, they closed a book on this. They closed the chapter out. And we may be seeing Ricky Starks getting the next title shot against MJF.
What?
No.
What? Like how does he get there?
Yeah. Like, how does he go from barely beating Jericho to kissing the ring?
Kissing the ring. Damn. That's intense.
Explain it to me. Explain yourself.
Yeah, Lucy. Explaining. You got some explaining to do.
Well, first off, I feel like they've got a real opportunity with him, and they're going to keep with the MJF and Ricky Starks feud. I think there's going to actually be a longevity to that rivalry. Secondly, I felt like this was closing the book pretty effectively on the Jericho chapter, and I don't see him beating Wardlow. Certainly don't. Well, maybe he beats Powerhouse Hobbs, but I kind of doubt that, especially if Hobbs is next on the list to be TNT champ. So I don't see him going down to the All-Atlantic title. I think he would work his way back towards a world title shot. Now,
Ricky Starks.
Yep, absolute Ricky Starks.
How many world title shots has he had?
That I know of, one.
But so that keeps him in world title contention.
Well, I mean, some could also say that Adam Page could be next in line, but I think Ricky's probably going to be the one that ends up getting the first shot before Page does. Now you got me curious as to how many shots Ricky Starks has had. Rocky Starks. That's funny.
I think you're overlooking a lot of different people, but
yeah.
I mean, I could see him having I could see him and Hobbs having a back and forth because of their back in the Taz days, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could see them doing that. Can't see them automatically giving him the world title shot. I mean, unless you want to bury him right away. Because, like, he doesn't have the mic skills that MJF does. So if you want to kill him as soon as before he gets there.
Ooh. I'm going to have to back out of this, Rob. You went too far on that one.
You don't think Ricky Starks can go
promo
for promo with MJF? I mean, hey, I'm not going to say that Ricky Starks is going to beat MJF for the title. I happen to agree with you there that he'd probably get outdone. But I feel like, you know, especially from a promo perspective, they only scratch the surface of what those two can do.
Yeah, I mean, I was with Rob for a minute, and then Rob went wonky. So, I don't know what Kool-Aid he's drinking right now, but you should put it back. I mean, that's one reason why Ricky was a star in NWA for promos. He's, you know, anytime he's out in the ring, the crowd just eats it up because of the promos.
So, standout parts of this match. Honestly, I felt like this might be our first indication of this year because, you know, he's just going to end up proving us wrong on another occasion. But that Jericho may be slowing down. So, next pay-per-view, perhaps he proves again that he's not slowing down. But I felt like he was moving a little slower paced this time around against Starks. But it still got the story told. Sammy Guevara ends up trying to interfere or intervene on behalf of Chris Jericho. Wasn't the entirety of this story supposed to be that the JAS was banned from ringside?
Yes.
So, what was like the penalty for that? Because they never really identified that. I was just curious.
But he never interfered.
He never made it to the ring.
No, because Action Andretti comes out of nowhere.
There we go.
Pummeling Sammy Guevara. That was pretty ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, again, Rob, you know, he never got to the ring. Rob's right. So, what penalty is there to be had? They're banned from ringside if he gets caught on the entrance ramp. He never made ringside. See how they do that?
Huh?
Yeah, I guess they somehow managed to circumvent that part, because he doesn't actually get to ringside. So Andretti dives through, and I don't even know if it was a spear or whatever. He just all of a sudden from the right side of the screen, you just see Andretti just flying over, and down goes Sammy Guevara.
And I mean, I'll agree with you when you said that, you know, this is the oldest Chris Jericho's looked in years.
Yeah.
You know, like just his look, his timing, his physique all just looked like, you know what, I've had a good time and I'm going home now. You know, I'm going to Dean's house.
When he finally retires, that's what he's got to say. His last thing he says to the fans has got to be, I'm going to Dean's house.
Yeah, going to go find my smile. But go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I thought it was a solid match. Yes, you could see, but I mean, still, Jericho did what Jericho does. He seizes the day and he comes to the occasion and does what he needs to do. And they've closed the chapter on this Ricky Starks JAS thing. And like you said, now it's on for Ricky Starks to do something else. What that will be? Probably he'll most likely be the one that challenges Hobbs when he beats Wardlow. So, and there we go.
Is it a foregone conclusion that Hobbs is our next TNT champ, you think?
Well, I mean, according to you earlier, Starks is going to go through and win them all.
Yeah.
He's going to run the gauntlet. He's going to run it.
Who was it? Lovie Smith in the immortal words of, "If you want to crown them, crown them."
Crown their ass.
So I just think that Jericho is like doing the right thing for business in such a way that you can see. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say he didn't do right by the business in the past, but you figure, like, right now where he's at, he did the right thing for Andretti, and then he did the right thing for Starks. And I don't know if I'd say he slowed down a lot. I think that was just the flow of the match. Because he can still move when he wants to.
It's one of those things where that's what I said before was that he'll just end up proving it to us in another month. Mm-hmm. That, he's still moving, still able to do all the things he needs to do. It's just, it felt like, I think Rob described it really well. This is the first time I've really seen Jericho show his age out there. And that's not, I mean, God, how old is Chris Jericho? First and foremost, Chris 52. Jericho is 50. Yeah, he's like 52 or 53. So if he's slowing down at that age, that's damned impressive.
I ain't never sped up to that, so.
Right, well, yeah. I don't know that any of us have ever been able to run at that level. So, hey, can't knock that. And plus, this is a guy that is almost guaranteed wherever he goes to be in their Hall of Fame. Like, if AEW does a Hall of Fame, and I'm sure they will at some point, he'll be in the Hall of Fame for that. He'll probably be in, hell, if they had a Stampede Hall of Fame, they'd put him in there. WWE is obviously going to put him in. I mean, it's one of those things where his legacy is solidified. You don't have to worry about it. So everything he's doing, to your point, Brian, is he's just giving back. He's just making the right moves.
Yeah. A win like this for Ricky means more to the business than Jericho beating Ricky Starks.
Right.
So, and that's what you need out of your veterans.
And that just shows you the way he looks at the business. Because somebody at his caliber could have looked like the others and be like, "Oh, nope. I'm not going to give them the shine. Not going to give them they got to figure it out. They got to earn it." But he's never been afraid to, you know what? This is what's best for business. I mean, look how he's kind of redefined himself everywhere he's went. New Japan, at the age he was, to be like, "Hey, I'm going to go to Japan." Oh, what? When he could have very well just been like, "I'm going to go play bars in Europe now with my band." But definitely he's going to be Hall of Fame wherever he goes. And I don't think he's done. He's not done. It's just one thing Jericho knows is he knows the business, and he knows when, it's somebody else's time to run for a little bit, and I'm going to sit back, and then, but he can. How many times have we said he's done and he comes back? How many times has he reinvented himself? Count him out, and you just made the list.
I mean, the Ocho is his latest iteration, and he created the Jericho Appreciation Society. It's just you made a good point. He finds a way. He always does.
And he's going to work the list in there soon. You watch. Because just the way he signed the contract for the match, just, like, he's going to do the list.
We go from one grudge match to the next. And in this one, we get to a stipulation that I don't think they ever solidified until literally minutes before the match began, and that's and by solidified I mean informing us the fans. Final burial match: Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Christian Cage in what would become the AEW version of a casket match. this was one of those things where Christian really shines as just the guy that knows exactly what to do to make the people pissed at him the entire time. I want to say it was either Shane or Sonny in the chat that talked about how the only offense he had was just him doing some kind of a sly, sneaky move type of thing, some kind of cheap move rather than like a headlock or whatever. Not that you'd expect that in a casket match, but still, it was a good showing for him, and honestly a good showing for Jungle Boy. That shot with the shovel, for example. Good God, I thought that was turning Christian's lights out.
Yeah, but I thought they announced the match like last week.
Well, they called it. They Jungle Boy says there's going to be grave consequences for everything that's happened. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Now, grave consequences, depending on how you look at it. Grave consequences is a way of Lucha Underground referring to their casket match. So maybe that was the clue? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Something. I thought they had announced it. Like again, it was late.
Yeah.
It was late. I mean, pretty much the theme of most of the pay-per-view was setting things up late. But again, I could be wrong. So it was. I don't know. This was a little bit weird for me. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was just like, it was short, maybe. That makes sense.
It was fast, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. We come out of Jericho and Starks, and we're on a sprint. They don't take a minute. They don't take all that time, much time at all. All of a sudden, we're in ring announcements for Jack Perry and Christian Cage. And then next thing we know, after that match is done, almost as soon as it concludes, we're headed to the trios title match. I mean, it was just rapid fire. We had to foot on the gas the whole night.
Yeah, it was. Again, it was the I don't know. The pacing may have been off for me. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I don't know. Maybe it was just weird. Yeah, to me, I mean, literally in the ring, out the ring, in the ring, out the ring, entrance ramp, done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem I had with it was just, they did a little bit of in-ring, but once they got up to the entrance ramp, they just stayed up there. So it's like, all right, if they're not no one's making a thing to go to the back, no one's making a thing to go back to the ring. It's kind of like, all right, they just realize, all right, we're done. And then the whole, he put him in there, then he kissed him and he stared at him for a little while, then he shut it. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that was weird because he gets him in the casket, he shuts it really hard, and that sumbitch just dropped. It didn't just get lowered like somebody cranking it or anything. He slams the door and it just drops like somebody just removed the floor from it or something. It's like, damn.
Well, that's what happens when y'all made fun of the match that was supposed to explode the ring and it didn't explode.
Best sparklers ever.
Yeah, that's what happens. You get a casket that just drops.
They should call that the straight to hell match.
Right? That wasn't smoke coming up. That was dust from when it hit wherever it landed. Speaking of, that electrified barbed wire match, Kenny Omega has a great interview with Renee Paquette about a lot of different parts since he's come back, but he talks about that matchup specifically and how the guy that was responsible for setting the explosives and the rigging for that had every step of the way, had tested it and everything, and the day of the event, they brought somebody else in to do it. A guy who hadn't taken one single look at how things were set up or anything, so he didn't check to see if the wind had shifted or anything. So come to find out, that's what happened.
So, you ever watch Star Wars? The first one?
Nope, never watched Star Wars.
Are you shitting
me? Obviously, I've watched Star Wars, sir.
Oh, okay. The first one. The very first one.
Like, yeah, I mean, how many people have...
Episode 4. Episode
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Phantom Menace. I was like, wait a minute, buddy.
No. Episode 4.
Yes, sir. New Hope. Gotcha. I'm with you.
All right. Okay. All right. So remember when they're making the trench run at the end of the movie?
Yep.
Yeah. Remember that famous line, "Stay on target"?
Yeah. Yep.
Stay on target.
Stay on target.
Yeah. Stay on target. We can talk about Kenny Omega later.
I feel like with in an effort to stay on target with Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, and Christian Cage, this was however long Christian's recovery was, 6 months too late. You know, basically the only reason they had to do this here instead of when Christian was active prior was because of Christian's arm injury, and this feud would have been long gone. I don't know where it would have happened with Jack Perry from that point, but I don't know. This seemed like okay, we got to get a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of moment here. Let's close this door and be done, and that's exactly what they did.
So I think for me, as far as that goes, I think again, when in an upcoming match that I said last week. Timing, you know what I'm saying? They had a plan, and they're sticking to the plan.
Right.
I think that's what you have here, more than anything. I think they had a plan. They wanted to give Jungle Boy his payoff. You know, they want to give Christian his due, and I think that's what we got now. Like they would have waited 2 years to do it if they had to.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they were going to close that story the way this ended. Like, the end result was exactly what they wanted. They wanted to end this in some kind of a gimmick to close the door on it and to be done with it. And I'm not unhappy to see, a casket match get introduced in AEW. And as a matter of fact, I would love to see, it sounds wild, but I'd love to see the Lucha Brothers against the Young Bucks in a casket match. I mean, they've done all the other gimmick tag matches. Why not? I bet you they'd make it really well.
Well, I mean, those two teams together are going to do what they do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this match, guys, before we move to the next one? I mean, I think I kind of agree with Rob that it was probably the one match I was like, okay, I could have did without.
To me, I don't know if I could do without. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Maybe because again it took a year to get there, but
yeah.
Maybe I don't know, but it was just something about it. It was just off. Not that it was bad. It was just off.
I mean, it's kind of like the build up to the Hangman Page Moxley match, you know. It's like you had the build up, then it's not. Then you had the build up, then it's not. Difference is they didn't do anything to continue the storyline while Christian was gone. So, but it's over with. Moving on.
Fair enough. Next up on the list is the World Trios Championship. Holy hell, this matchup. The House of Black challenging the Elite in, I don't know how many times that there were V-triggers and variations of V-triggers hit. I don't know how many super kicks were in this match. I don't know how many 450s, 630s, senton, you name it. But good God, these guys beat the snot out of each other. This was really a lot of fun, but it was a great match just overall. I love seeing matches where the Young Bucks kind of prove that they can go on more of a gritty level. And I think Matt Jackson continues to prove that he is it. If he and Nick were to stop tag teaming, Matt Jackson could be a real single star, I think.
Nah. I'm just kidding.
Nah.
Nah. Yeah. So I think the timing. This would have been on earlier pay-per-views had things not transpired the way they transpired. And we would have had this a long time ago.
Ace bit a guy.
Yeah, Ace bit a guy. But like, I really think that like they went at it so hard that Kenny might have knocked out Black at one point.
Oh yeah.
That double knee spot in the corner.
Well, that and they're going for the Meltzer driver, and Nick comes in with the somersault, and Buddy Matthews comes flying over with that knee shot to the face. I thought that connected full on. I love those shots where you just can't tell. The camera work in this match was tremendous. It really made this match even better.
Yeah. I mean, I love this match from the beginning. I think, obviously. So I would say to this point, it's the match of the night. It was just one of those. You're like, okay, and I actually felt myself sitting up at the edge of the couch, going, "Oh shit, is this how it's going to end? It's going to how it end." They got me. You're like, okay. But definitely was thinking also through the whole thing that I hope. Malachi Black gets a run on his own. Feel like him having the House of Black and the thing they've done has been good, but it's like, could you imagine him unleashed, as a singles guy? So hopefully we get to see that as the time goes forward.
Yeah. So something tells me that with the performance that was done and then the reaction afterwards, that you're probably going to see Malachi get a run, probably with a singles title somewhere along the way.
Straight to MJF behind Ricky Starks?
Yeah, we'll put it behind Ricky.
But only behind Ricky. Okay, be very careful. Ricky's next.
I mean, that was like, when they won, I was happy, right? But the reaction from the crowd, without a doubt, is one of the craziest reactions that's ever happened in AEW.
I mean, it was loud. Well, actually, this entire show had the crowd involved. Even parts where I didn't expect them to be involved. But this match especially, the crowd reaction was off the charts. It was great. I liked seeing Kenny Omega and Malachi Black. I want to see a solo match of these guys. I want to see it so bad because I bet you it's going to be amazing. And this one just proves even further, by the way, that Kenny Omega is next level. Mm-hmm. Like, him and Malachi Black. I got to agree with Rob. I hope he does get a run because both of them just perform at a level that's just not... No one else is close. Well, there's some that are maybe close, but not real close.
I mean, there's a few that are close. Because Kenny has a way of, like, he's almost like, the good ones where they can wrestle a broom and make it look good.
He's done that, by the way.
Yeah, and a blow-up doll. And
That's right.
10-year-old kid, and yeah. So, and I don't know if Malachi can do that. Not to say, maybe he could. But that's what makes Kenny Kenny can take somebody and make them look like $1 million.
Well, and that's what I like. And going on what you're saying, Brian, is Kenny Omega can get in the ring with anyone and meet them where they're at, and it's a good match.
That's a good way of saying that.
You got those wrestlers that can come out and they're just amazing, and then they make the other. It shows the other guy. It shows everybody where the other guy's not. Kenny's not that. Kenny's one of those that he comes out and he's like, all right, we're in a 3-way match. Okay, so it's not all about me. It's not all about all my spots, and somebody as good and talented as him and as high as he is doesn't mind, Because a lot of people at his point could be like, no, if it's not main event, I'm not being there. But this match was awesome from beginning to end. And that spot with Brody outside the ring where he was holding one of the Young Bucks by his throat.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just standing there like, I love him, and it's crazy.
And he's just planking the whole time while he's caught in that sleeper. He ain't going anywhere. He ain't fighting. He's just holding on and planking. He's just stuck. I thought he was out cold at first. I was like, damn, he passed out. The pacing on this match was great. They kept this. You did not know when the finish was going to happen, and that was the coolest part.
Well, but again, though, you kind of go in expecting one thing, and then, by now you're starting to figure out that this pay-per-view is not going the way you're expecting pay-per-views to go. And once again, AEW does the right thing and, takes you back to a time where you had no earthly clue what the hell was going on a pay-per-view, which they do very well.
Tell me more about that, though. You said that it gives you the feeling that this pay-per-view isn't going to go the way you think it's going to go. Explain that.
So let's take Jericho and Ricky Starks, right? Jericho, so there's going to be shenanigans.
Right.
Right? Jericho's the GOAT, and boom, Ricky wins. You're like, holy shit, I didn't see that come. Even though I don't know, we may all pick Ricky last week. You know what I'm saying?
I believe we did, only we all suspected it was possible Jericho pulled shenanigans.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking that, even though we all picked it, there's a part of you that is in stunned disbelief. That actually happens. And so then the second match, the smart thing is for Cage to win, right? Maybe give this feud a little bit more time to brew. Christian, it's not hard to believe that Christian could beat Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, Jungle Boy wins. You're like, okay, this is odd. This is weird. What are we, match 3? What's match 3? The triple threat?
Trios title.
Trios, or not triple threat, trios. It's Omega and the Bucks. Yeah, we may have picked them. We may not have. But it was one of those ones where, nobody saw it coming. And so by now you're like, this is just weird. Right? This is a pay-per-view where not only are you unsure of the outcomes, but when it happens, it makes sense. And it's another AEW pay-per-view that, again, you're unsure of who's going to win, which is something we haven't had in wrestling in so long.
Yeah, from a predictability standpoint, with AEW, there's always that unknown factor. You could feel pretty confident. Like, we were all pretty confident Starks was going to win. But there's always that factor of, well, maybe he doesn't. Christian beating Jungle Boy again. Good example, because Christian's had his number every single time. He's always found a way. With the trios title, because it's the elite, you can't necessarily rule them out because it's them. But at the same time, the House of Black has been so dominant, it is tough to make predictions when it comes to AEW. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Man, up until the main event finished, up until the end of the night, I thought the Trios Championship match was match of the night.
I would go so far as to put that thing, like again, if there's a match of the year contender, I put it in match of the year contender.
Yeah.
Which is weird for a 6-man.
I am curious what the star ratings will end up being for that, by the way. Next up's a triple threat for the AEW Women's World Championship. It's Saraya, it's Ruby Riott, Ruby Soho, damn it, I gotta quit saying that, and Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's Championship. Shane was very vocal, Shane from our group chat, very vocal, saying, hey, not looking forward to this, not looking forward to Saraya, but I have to admit Saraya actually did pretty well. She was selective where she got involved. The pacing of it was done in a way that really highlighted Jamie Hayter. And again, much like the match before it, did not see the finish of this match coming.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody picked Jamie.
I picked Saraya. I thought for sure Saraya was going to win the title. I thought this was going to be some kind of kind of what we got, only during the match.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's good for them that they, it's hard that they had to follow that, the 6-man, but it's good that they were able to keep a good, steady pace and make the match interesting. And again, one of the things where you don't see the end coming because it was a roll-up. If I remember right.
It was a nice crucifix. She rolled her up tight and snug and got the 3 count. And it was just like, wait a minute. And this is what made me wonder if maybe the Trios title match had run long. Because this match finish just came out of nowhere. They were building to it. They were building to the end. And I swear I thought for a minute that it was going to be Britt that made the turn. But, they obviously didn't. And to Britt Baker's defense, she has held her word. Her and Jamie are friends, and she's not going to turn against them. But it was a good 3-way, a good triple threat here, and again, I was disappointed that Ruby didn't win.
Yeah, but so this is another one of these. You have to pay attention to the long-term storytelling, and again, because storytelling is kind of a lost art, even to fans. It would, you can't have Britt turn on Jamie at this point because they've been talking for weeks about the outside influence and versus the homegrown team, and so there's more going to happen here. So you're going to find, there will be another one to put with Britt and Jamie, and then we'll get some type of big match somewhere down the line. And then maybe it happens. But she's liable to be the one to take it from Ruby or Saraya once they win the title, because I'm sure that'll happen as well. One of the two will.
One of the two what?
One of the two will get it.
Rob, what were your standout thoughts on this match? Anything that popped off the page to you?
Oh,
I get it. I see what I did there.
I agree. I didn't see Hayter coming out with the belt. I figured that this was, and I told Brian when we watched it, I said that this is a way for them to give it to Saraya and protect her a little bit, but I didn't see the swerve at the end coming. Brian called it as soon as it happened, and I'm like, damn it. But listening to what y'all say, like I could see personally, I could see Britt Baker basically doing what has to be done to keep the belt on Hayter until she's ready to take it from her.
Mm-hmm.
You took it from me, so I'm going to take it from you.
Right.
But I agree. I kind of thought it was going to go a little longer, but up to this point, I was highly impressed with the pace of the entire evening. There wasn't really any downtime. I mean, damn, the people barely got out of the ring from the match before the other people were already in the ramp.
Yeah, I noticed that. So the trios title match is done, and we're headed to the women's title match. And you can see Kenny on the outside where Don Callis is literally like, hey, we got to go. Keep moving. Like he's kind of nudging Kenny Omega up the ramp. So I'm trying to figure out the proper way to say this. Jamie Hayter is going to take on anybody, and she's that kind of champion. They've done a good job of solidifying her as that. But realistically speaking, it's got to be Ruby or Saraya getting another shot, right? I mean, are we going to see somebody in between?
I mean, again, why? If we're in a storyline, right? Why do we have to take a break from the storyline?
Well, they don't necessarily have to take a break from the storyline, but I'm thinking, because we got a long ways to go until Full Gear. So, no, not Full Gear. Damn, Double or Nothing. Let's get it right. And they haven't announced Forbidden Door 2, although that seems to be pretty much a done deal. They just haven't announced the date yet for it. So we've got 2 months to Double or Nothing. You've probably we got St. Patrick's Slam, which is the St. Patrick's Day edition of either Dynamite or Rampage. So there's another special event in there, and I'm sure there's another Battle of the Belts coming up soon too.
But haven't we done things on regular Dynamites or Rampages?
We have.
Why? Again, though, I think this is a matter of like we forget that we're talking about AEW. They don't care, much like the WWE used to. They don't care if there's a title match on a Wednesday night and it changes hands. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Are you probably going to see tag team matches? You're going to see. I mean, you have to introduce a third for Hayter and Britt Baker. I mean, there's still a lot to be played out where you don't have to like slow your momentum and say, "Oh, we have to give Riho a shot," even though Riho would make no sense at the moment. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but I don't see where they're going to lose the momentum and just be like, let's just do something to do something.
Who would be the one to come in and join Hayter and Baker? Would it be the girl they had before?
Statlander? Don't forget Statlander's not still in the mix.
Statlander's recovering from knee surgery. I don't know where she is on that recovery train. Rebel was dropped kind of to the sideline because they didn't want it to appear too much like her being a bad guy. They wanted it to be a good guy group. So that's why Rebel hasn't been on TV. The other person that could be a logical fit, though, would be Sheeta.
Yeah. I mean, there are options. Riho, again, Though I said, you're not going to throw in the mix for a title shot, doesn't mean she can't join forces. But
hey, she is on a winning streak.
Got Nyla Rose, who's a AEW one.
God,
and really untapped in this whole situation.
God, no. But isn't she with Shafir? Yep.
Last
sure.
we saw, yes.
Who, Nyla? She's in a tag match on Dark.
Yeah, with Shafir. Plus, they're bad guys. I think. Heels.
There's no bad guys in AEW. Only bad intentions. That's not true. MJF's definitely a bad guy. I wasn't really disappointed by this match itself. Like I said, I think I would have liked to have seen Ruby win, but at the end of the day, it's really about more of a longer term story, and whether that's Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker, or if it's an even longer term of Ruby Soho eventually winning the title, maybe next year. We really don't know. But that's the cool thing about it is there's a lot of openings there for it, and this is just another pay-per-view to continue this storyline, which definitely doesn't have to be done. Certainly doesn't have to be finished at this point, especially since it really feels like it's just now growing some stronger legs.
Well, I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, I don't know. It's almost like an invasion angle, and almost kind of. Again, they've been telling us for weeks, the outsiders versus the originals, which means that there's more coming. There's more on the way. There's something brewing.
You think they keep this as just a women's storyline, or do they start to mix in the guys?
Depends on how much, like, to me, it would depend on how smart they are. If I'm smart, maybe I involve some of the guys. Because Lord knows the reaction AEW fans give them when you mention Stanford.
Right.
If you're smart, maybe you capitalize on it. But who knows?
I mean, of the guys, I can think of one guy right off the top that I would immediately get involved with it simply because he's not been doing anything for quite a while. But I can't really put my finger on other than one person who I would put into the mix for that, as far as from an outsider perspective.
Who?
Miro. Yeah. And even that's the thing about that is that's kind of a stretch because Miro gets reinvented when he comes from WWE to AEW. So you could almost call him a homegrown.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like,
nope. He's still come from Stanford.
Sure.
Malachi Black would be from Stanford. Like anybody that come from Stanford would fall into this very easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it's kind of like that's what made the NWO make sense. Hall and Nash were outsiders, and then the real trader's been sitting here all along. And where'd he come from? He came from Stanford.
I mean, you could do a whole thing with FTR and Adam Cole or CM Punk.
Sure. Punk might be a little bit different. I guess you could.
I feel
FTR,
like when Punk shows
sure.
up, he'll be booed.
Oh, that's what you want, right?
I think in the long run, yeah.
Yeah. Because you want them to create controversy. And are you sucking on a vape?
No.
You're a dirty liar. You almost sound like Darth Vader.
I know.
I am not your father.
Had such good things going for him, but now he's a vape sucking.
He called you a vape sucking like you're some vampire or something.
Oh yeah, well you're a window licker, Rob. Yeah, take that.
If I lick windows, at least I'll still be able to breathe when I'm older.
You can barely breathe now.
Only when you're in the room with your vape.
You gotta be ashamed of yourself.
Did I have a friend that sucks on vapes? Yes.
Wow, that's rude. That's rude. No proof or evidence of any of these things.
The whole
Wanton
world
allegations. They didn't hear
the whole
shit.
world.
They didn't hear nothing.
So,
you hear me? Nothing.
Rob, what do you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Could have just been static.
Nope, it's not.
No, yeah.
Usually the sounds of those that sound like that is followed by, man, it's been a couple weeks since I've had a cigarette.
Not to worry. But anyway, I don't
Teach
think
his own
Mirror
thing.
fits your little thing there. Sorry. I think Miro's just a little too much WWE in him.
Stay on target. Yeah, it could be. Could be Miro is too much. I don't know.
Plus
I'm curious as to what they could do with it. You know, if they keep it a women's angle, it still has possibility. It still has there's a lot of room to grow, especially if they can get Mercedes there.
And Tony did say he will not talk about somebody else's talent, especially if they're at New Japan.
Yeah. Suddenly we're real careful about what we say. I got you, Tony. Wink, wink. You can't see it, but I'm giving you the real big wink. There you go, buddy.
Yeah. But again, that would be perfect for Forbidden Door. We could have an eight woman tag match.
I like that idea. That's a good one.
And then, when Bailey gets out at Forbidden Door 3, we can have a nice little 10-man match.
I wonder when her contract actually expires.
Not fast enough.
There's really not much left for her to do as far as from just an overall accomplishment standpoint. Not in WWE anyway.
Right. I mean, like we've said several times, gone are the days where you have to stay at one place to have a career,
5 minutes and then one more.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you heard it.
You heard her, Stan. She said 5 more minutes.
Countdown's on.
Whoop your ass.
No, not gonna happen. But anyway,
You're scared of her. Don't you just admit it.
I ain't screwed nobody.
Oh, you heard that, Brian? Yeah, he said he ain't scared.
I ain't skirting nobody. She must be on contract until at least 24 because she's not listed as an upcoming free agent anywhere I can find. So, women's championship match ends, and again, this night's in fast forward. It's one right after the other. We head straight into Hangman Page against Jon Moxley in a Texas death match. Page has new music or just new music for this match?
I think it's new music. Sounded good.
I liked it. I liked the whole presentation of it. I mean, it gave a much more lone wolf kind of feel, I thought.
What song was it again?
Hangman Page's new theme.
Yeah, but it's the actual song.
Now that I didn't know.
I can't. I'll have to go back and find it on the DVR. But that's an actual song. I'm pretty sure that's like a classic rock song or something.
Let's see here. Now it got me looking it up. Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Yeah, there you go.
By the Outlaws.
Yeah, that's it.
How do you know
that? I've listened to classic rock. Like, that's all I listen to. No, although I don't know the year. I'd probably put it in the 70s, maybe. Maybe 60s, late 60s. But yeah, I know that song. I think it's got like, yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki, some crap like that in it.
Wow. I found it on YouTube here. I'm just kind of seeking through it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I guess I just didn't place it. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Good call, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have come to me if I had thought about it, but it's easier just having somebody look it up.
Ghost Riders in the Sky by the Outlaws. I think this song actually gets played during Ghost Rider at some point. Wow, cool. Okay. The comments on the YouTube page for this, I guess this is AEW's official release of the theme. And there's comments all like, wow, I remember this from this movie, remember this from this movie. I guess it's been in a lot of Westerns. Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about a lot of Westerns, maybe, but I don't watch Westerns. But
not at
all.
It
is a no. I mean some, but
like Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone. I mean, I watched some, but I mean, some of them Westerns were just way too campy. Blazing Saddles, that's a good Western to watch.
Hey, shout out to my wife.
Y'all never seen Blazing Saddles?
No, you know what? I've actually never seen Blazing Saddles. Not all the way through. I've seen parts, but not all the way through.
That is one movie that could not be made today.
No, there's a lot of quotes in there that they probably couldn't fly. What was your guess as far as how long it would take for Mox to start bleeding on during this matchup, by the way?
5 minutes.
Well, you were wrong. Brian?
Listen, you're going to keep fucking around with trying to time Mox and bleeding, and one day he's going to bleed you.
It was less than 2 minutes into this match, and he was bleeding like a faucet. Are you serious right now?
Okay, bully. Where's your table at?
It's too much blood. It's too much. It's gratuitous.
Now, the spot that got my stomach queasy was the whole fork.
That was nasty. And with blood splattering everywhere, I mean, come on, that was... This match got a lot of conversation. It was very polarizing on social media. WrestlingInc.net or no, WrestlingInc.com. Excuse me. Raj Giri, the owner of that site, said it wasn't for him. He thought it was too much. He's not into seeing all that blood, guts, and gore. WWE's correspondent Ryan Satin does a lot of work for their documentaries. He actually comes to the defense of the match, saying, "Come on, this is wrestling. How can you not expect this out of a Texas death match?"
Thank you.
In our group chat, I think most of us were like, "Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. This is supposed to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. You're going to see blood." And our resident contrarian Sonny says, basically, "I could have did without all the blood. It would have made better sense if only Hangman bled." To that I say, huh?
That's like having a match with Ric Flair and saying the only person that has to bleed is the one who's not Ric Flair.
Well, so, I think this is an instance where the WWE has screwed the fans over. Because we wouldn't have this conversation in the 80s. And I dare say we wouldn't have it in the 90s.
Nope.
Because listen, if you don't believe me, when Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard had an I Quit match, right? We've all seen it.
That was pretty nasty.
But if we'd had social media at the time, when we had the likes of Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher, and a Texas death match was exactly what, not quite exactly, but what happened in Texas death match in the 80s would have been exactly what happened last night, where there would be blood and people would bleed and the whole 9 yards. We wouldn't have this conversation. But once WCW folded and there was no ECW to bleed for us, we lost, right? You forgot that wrestling is not, it's there's blood involved sometimes.
Yeah. Case in point, when Vince took over ECW, what happened? Things stopped being extreme.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only time there was really any blood was when Bob Holly went through the table and lacerated his back.
That was pretty nasty, too. I remember that.
Yeah, because that was a bad fucking laceration.
Yeah.
You have War Games and nothing.
Yeah, War Games and nothing, yeah.
That's the one that always stood out for me. How do you have War Games? You're literally grinding someone's face into a cage, and nothing. Nothing happens. Even in the blue bars, the blue rounded bars cage. King Kong Bundy and Hogan at WrestleMania 2. Bundy bled.
Did he?
Yeah.
I always thought that cage was too big. The squares were just way too big.
I think it was, to me, it was always done that way just so that Hogan could actually climb it.
That wouldn't surprise me. Hogan's big old body at that point, I mean, he was not exactly very graceful at that stage of his run.
At WrestleMania 2?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was made for, one, better TV because it was wider options, the camera angles and stuff, and I thought...
And it was a bright blue color.
Because I don't remember Hogan climbing the cage in WCW when they had the old cage.
Shit, no.
So I think it was just so Hogan would climb the motherfucker.
Yeah, you might be right. I never thought of it in that, context. That it was for Hogan and nobody else.
Well, if you want a good example of that, remember the cage match, the Alliance to end Hulkamania, where literally you had 10 guys against Hogan and Savage, and the cage had extended platform there so he could climb the cage. Or extended bars or whatever the hell.
Well, I mean, even like in WCW, when they did the matches with like Piper, it was the cage that went all the way around the ring onto the floor.
Yep. Age in the cage.
And the only time I ever saw Hogan climb the cage was with Paul Orndorff at Saturday Night's Main Event, where they landed at the same time. Still to this day, I'm like, how do they do that? Because I watched it several times. Like, do they look at each other? But
well, I'm sure there was probably some camera work involved.
That's another good example of good production. Like, they made sure that it showed at a certain time. They timed it very nicely.
Well, I mean, don't forget, too, that it was probably on a 30-second delay.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can always freeze one to have it line up with the second one if you miss. And then that way it shows out right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the other times we've seen it, it's like, oh, what angle? Like Kofi, the last couple Royal Rumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Camera just happens to be in the wrong area. Oh, you're done, Cody. Kofi.
Hey, speaking of Kofi, shout out to Kofi Kingston getting hurt Friday night. And you might want to put the blame for this one solely on Karrion Kross. Kross comes out with a somersault dive to the outside from SmackDown and just lands on Kofi. First, I thought it was Kofi's arm that he broke, just the way they all fell down. But actually, it turns out to be his ankle. We don't know a whole lot except to know that he had it all taped up, and we do not know how long he'll be out.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, not good, Mr. Cross. You need to pay closer attention, and I'm sure you know that. Looking at this last man standing Texas death match, here's the question I had for you. Texas death match, my understanding of that rule is you get pinned or you give up, and then you've got 10 seconds to get up. That's how the match ends. When did we change the rules of a Texas death match?
Are you sure that's...
Well, help me out. Am I getting it wrong?
No, I would maybe pull it up. There should be a website with it. What's that one you like to look at that's normally wrong?
Cage match, yeah.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Wiki, we'll go to a different one, says a Texas death match is a wrestling match similar to the last man standing match. The only difference being that you must be pinned, and then a 10 count is initiated. If the person pinned fails to get up by the count of 10, the participant loses the match. That's very professionally written, might I add.
Yeah, so, well, they changed the rules. I guess to make it their own. Because it was, what was it? Submission?
Yeah, I mean, he wins the match by submission. He basically chokes Mox out. Mox taps, it's over, it's done, boom. Hangman wins. Which is fine. I thought the match itself was awesome.
No, yeah, but I thought they gave the rules at the beginning. You had to win by submission or something else.
Now, if they did that, I completely missed it.
I think it was a submission or a 10 count.
Oh, okay. Now that makes better sense. If they solidified it that way, that makes sense. Okay.
Because that's why when Hangman Page was on the outside and Mox was like, counting.
Yeah. Well, they did that. Yeah, they did that a couple times. I think even Mox, they tried to hit the 10 count on Mox, too. And didn't like Page get up at like 9 one time? One of them was super close.
Oh, yeah. Page, like, almost not only got counted out of the ring, but he almost lost the match because I was like, is he breaking the count or is he getting back? Is he not losing?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was weird. Like, he's outside the ring, and he's at 8.5, basically. And you're like, wait, is he getting up? And then he finally gets in there and just under the count, but he doesn't really get up. He just rolled in. Or dove in, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm almost positive Justin Roberts gave the rules right at the start.
Now, something that happened in this match a few times really kind of irritated me, and I don't know when these guys forgot how to shoot some of these angles, but I don't need to see literally a referee handing a blade to the wrestler. Like, he did it to Page, he did it to Mox at a couple different points. Mox even gets outside the ring, and you see him as he's walking towards the guy with the camera, He's pulling, the blade from his tape on his wrist, and then they could do a sequence, and then the next thing you know, Mox is bleeding worse. I don't have a problem with the blading and all of that. That's just part of the deal. But somebody's got to say to production, guys, change the angle, get a crowd reaction, focus on the guy who's getting ready to deliver his next move, whatever the case may be. Because during this part, again, the referee is ultimately the guy to keep this concealed. He does nothing to do that.
So, like, is it the ref's fault if the production doesn't get it right?
No, if anything, the referee somebody should be in his ear. I don't.
And
help me out, because it's a production thing rather than it's the ref's fault specifically.
No, it's not anybody's fault. This has been an issue probably as long as they've bladed on TV. This is not new. This has, been going on forever. I bet you if you go look on, whatever, like go to YouTube and type in like top 10 wrestling blading mistakes, or you know what I'm saying? Right. If you figure out the pattern, they'll show you this stuff has been going on forever and a day. I think it's the what was it, Dusty and Tully's first blood match. I think it's that one. You can clearly see the blade. So this has been going on since, I know since the 80s, where you just get caught.
Yeah.
It's live TV. It's, you got to worry about the guy working the cameras. You got to worry about the cameraman. You got to worry about the production assistant. You got to worry about the head producer in the back. You got to worry about, did anybody fill these people in? Did, hey, this is when we're going to do it. This is, make sure the camera's not on, so-and-so. Are the wrestlers conscious of, if a camera's right in their face, should you pull the blade out? Well, probably not. However, if this is a spot in the match and I got to pull it out, I got to pull it out.
Is this a factor of them just calling it in the ring, you think?
No, there is nothing about that match, blood-wise, that was called in the ring. Like like after you're bleeding, you're bleeding.
I mean, that goes to the people, like Brian said, in the production truck. You know what I mean? Like, you're watching the action. When the guy gets hit, then maybe don't zoom in on him.
Right.
Right. Move on. Mm-hmm. But, we've also seen certain things over the time where people have done that. I mean, I can't remember was it Austin or who was it that was actually in the middle of blading when they got hit again?
Oh, God. I mean, how many times do we see Shane Douglas and Raven do it to each other in TNA?
They're down kind of, then they get kicked in the back of the head, and next thing you know, the cut is a lot deeper than it probably should.
Right, yeah. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, again, I'll almost lay you money that you can find a video on YouTube where people have been caught blading on TV. And it probably goes all the way back to the 70s. Maybe in the 50s or 60s. I don't know. I don't know how much blood that they had back then. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it happens.
I put that with... Sorry, go, Brian.
No. Well, I was going to say, even at Forbidden Door, where Mox clearly blades.
Right.
And I don't know, because I was there, so I don't know what was caught on camera. But you can clearly see him blading. And again, if there's so much involved to miss that, to intentionally miss it, I'll almost lay you money too. You've probably seen it more times than you care to count, and you've just never picked up on it. The little swipe of the head, or you can, like, they'll be in the ring and their thumb and their finger are closed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where they're actually holding it, and you may have picked up on it. Sometimes you may not have, and it's just. I guess it bugs you to the point where you're actually paying more attention. at the
Well,
moment.
I guess
But
after a while you see it so often, it's like, damn, and there it is again, and damn, and there it is again. Yeah. And after a while, when you don't see it as much, I think you're right. I think you kind of lose that sensitivity to it, and that might not be the right way to word that, but it is a testament to how good these guys are at it 90% of the time. So that we happen to get to a match as as gritty as this Texas Death match, and we get 3 different miscues on a camera. I don't necessarily say like, the match is awful because of it, but yeah, it got annoying. But you're probably right on that. Give it a few months if they don't get caught again for a while, and it'll be just back to like, oh damn, he's really busted again.
Well, we know he's doing it.
Yeah, well, you're always gonna know that, but I mean, like, there's a way to, make it make sense.
I mean, it all goes back to timing, and in a match like that, it's the timing that wasn't there. That's in a normal match. In a normal match, when somebody, this is the point where they're going to go down to the mat, they pan the camera to somebody and they're hammering the crowd or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they go back. Oh my God, they're bleeding. Like, where were we where some guy just like did a big slice across the forehead? I feel like we were watching a match sometime and some guy came up and it's like, oh, that is not the way you do that.
That might have been AWE.
It was something that we were seeing and we're like, that's not right. But then, like, I think about it also as like the blade things. Like, I mean, how many times do Hollywood studios miss a cue?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, they edited a whole thing of Game of Thrones and missed a Starbucks cup.
Yeah, that's true. It is crazy to see a show of that high production value.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're talking live TV with this.
Yeah. So it's not something like this is live TV, so you're going to miss certain things. Like, your other things they've been scripted and edited, and they still missed it.
Yeah.
Or the game when we were kids of like, the person has a cast on their left arm and in the next scene they have it on their right.
So we got 3 matches to go. Go ahead,
well,
just final shot there.
Real quick. So I just typed in how many times have wrestlers been caught bleeding on TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's an article. I mean, like, there's plenty of them. 6 times in the WWE wrestlers have been caught bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns was caught. Chris Jericho, Ric Flair, and Macho Man, Randy Orton, CM Punk, and Lawler. The Rock was. I mean, it's nothing new. I think it's just you're probably just hypersensitive to it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's been going on forever and a day. Getting caught, and again, you probably just never, for whatever reason, paid attention to it.
It's kind of like the leg slaps.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was a thing until suddenly everybody's talking about leg slaps, and now it's like, damn, quit doing that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it's just like when, like watching Raw and John Cena's in there. Like, how many times have you seen the 5-knuckle shuffle? He's nowhere even close to the guy's head.
Yeah, that's true.
Or
it's Flair's knee drop. Remember when Flair used to do that knee drop?
Hey,
oh dear God!
Let's not besmirch the name of Ric Flair.
Yeah, he does that all by himself. I don't need help.
You better shut your mouth.
He wants to redo his last match.
I don't care.
That he doesn't feel like he was in as good a shape as he could have been, and got winded too early.
And he wasn't hydrated properly, he said.
Yeah, like,
dude.
But eventually, there's going to be people that are like, you know what? I'm sorry, you've had your last match.
Right.
You two can just go to hell right now.
I mean, it's kind of like Tom Brady. Like, oh, is Tom Brady coming back? Nobody cares.
You just trying to twist that knife, ain't you?
Well, hey, Brian, at least Ric Flair Just as your saving grace, at least when he looks straight ahead, both eyes are looking straight ahead. My favorite is looking left and right.
That's a good point.
It's a damn shame, but there we go.
And hey, Ric Flair's got a comic book coming out too.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you heard me. He's like a secret agent or something.
Secret Agent Flair. Okay. TNT Championship was up next. Samoa Joe defending against Wardlow. This match was damn fast, and I'm kind of like not sure what happened here, but Wardlow chokes out Samoa Joe to his own finish. What? Like, okay, great, Wardlow wins, that's cool and all, and we're going to have a nice match with him and Hobbs, but, yeah, I don't know.
It's just a way to differ. It's another way for them to make a break between ROH and AEW.
Yeah.
So I actually have no problem with the finish. Because if it's a finisher, it doesn't matter who applies it. It should still be a finisher.
No, and in that part, I dug that part. The fact that Wardlow puts him in, and out of respect of his own finish, Joe's out cold. He doesn't break out of it or whatever. Even though, because he's the master of that, they could have explained it. But no, I did like that it was the finish that it actually ended it. It just was a surprise.
Once again, what does AEW do better than anybody? Surprise the hell out of you.
I feel like Hobbs is going to come away with the title this Wednesday anyway.
That's my man Hobbs. Good.
Powerhouse. Any other thoughts on this match other than what we've already covered? I mean, there's really not much to say about it.
No, I think they're a victim of, much like the female match, they're a victim of what came first.
Right. So, Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship is on the line. The Gun Club defending against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, and The Acclaimed. I think a lot of people fully expected to see The Acclaimed get the titles back, especially after we see Jarrett and Lethal and Danhausen and Orange Cassidy qualify for this matchup. It became almost, obvious that was what was going to most likely happen. But, to your point, especially from the previous match, AEW does it better than just about anybody. Surprise, surprise, we get a pretty entertaining tag match, actually. My favorite part of this match was where Satnam Singh gets in the ring, and Danhausen is getting ready to curse him. He's getting ready to go for the choke slam. Cassidy rushes in, hits the Superman punch. The Orange Crush, I think is what he calls it. And Danhausen then drops down Johnny Cage style and punches him right square in the balls. It was hilarious.
You know what was interesting about this match is I couldn't figure out why or how it was Orange Cassidy and Danhausen that managed to get in here, right?
Right, not the best friends.
Right.
Which would have made better sense. Agreed. I'm with you there.
However, this is one of those cases where you just forget about history.
Yeah.
Who is the one that started the Ass Boys?
Danhausen.
So then I didn't think about it. I didn't remember until today. So now it made sense why he was in there. Well, you can't have him with Chuck or Trent. Throw him in there with Orange Cassidy. So it's this weird little thing AEW does. that you forget shit like that. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen Jarrett and Lethal win.
Oh,
but
shut your mouth. Stop. No one wants to see that. No. Nobody wants to see Jarrett win that. Stop it.
Well, I mean, at the time you didn't have a certain tag team come back. So I would have been
fair.
okay with them too.
That's
I would have
fair.
been okay with them too. But, afterwards, FTR shows up, and I want to see FTR beat the shit out of the Ass Boys.
I love that FTR had us all believing, basically, April, we're going back to WWE. Instead, it's, we took some time off. We re-signed. We're locked in long-term contracts. Tony Khan is, the cat that ate the canary kind of thing. He's just got a grin on his face the whole time, like, I don't know what to tell you. We love FTR. They're great.
So, are they re-signed? Because I didn't see it.
They're under a long-term deal until mid-24.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. I
mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like they would do fine if they did come back, but I think AEW is where they should be.
Oh, in the WWE, you think they do fine?
They'd probably get treated. Well, I got to be careful here because I don't want to set this up. They would be treated fairly, but in the way that WWE treats tag teams, it wouldn't be for very long. Like Cody right now is on a mythical run. I don't know when it's going to end, but it will end at some point. And inevitably, someone's going to say, he was screwed. I don't know about that, but tag team-wise, we know that you got 6 months as a tag team, maybe. The Usos are an anomaly.
Well, the Usos are there because they done screwed all the other tag teams.
Right. And you can't put it on the New Day because 2/3 of the New Day is hurt now. So.
Yeah. So I actually think that while it may not diminish from FTR's ultimate legacy, I don't think it would have done them any good to go back. And the reason I say that is because, again, this is a rare talent that needs to be shared with the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's, in my mind, that's where the mistake would have come to re-sign with the WWE. Not that they would have been treated bad or whatever, but again, it's like, that's how the Rock and Roll Express became so big. They were national. They were a national act in a regional territory, for the most part. And again, I think FTR needs to be shared with everybody. That's just me. Share them with the world. They're like M&Ms. Don't you share M&Ms?
They melt in your mouth, not in your hand.
No. What's the candy you share? In it M&Ms? Don't you share it with everybody?
Yes, that's why. Anyway. Rob, thoughts on the Fatal 4-Way Tag match and, of course, the return of FTR?
I mean, I was excited. Again, Nostradamus of AEW, Brian called it, but with FTR returning, FTR is one of my favorite tag teams right now, and the 4-way, I did not see the Gun Club retaining, but it makes sense, for them to retain because you wouldn't want them to lose it right out of the gate because the Acclaimed and the Guns need their rematch. So, I mean, I liked it. I thought it, and one thing I've got to say about the card is I felt like every match was really placed where it needed to be.
I mean, from an overall layout, they delivered, and what I said early on was that they had their foot on the gas the entire time. They really did not stop to take a breath. Even with the Texas death match, that video package was only, 2 minutes long? So they barely had enough time to get reset there. And this one, the FTR comes out. They come dashing to the ring. They brawl with the Guns. And somehow Dax gets busted open over his eye. What the hell happened there?
Yeah, Cash was looking at him, like, rubbed his head, like, what the hell, man? We came out here 5 minutes.
Exactly. By the way, that spike pile driver, perfect. Looked perfect.
What I thought was funny is on Twitter, today Dax called it the Shatter Machine instead of the Big Rig.
Yeah, he is so good at making people believe whatever he wants them to believe.
Yeah, you gotta love Uncle Dax.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I can't wait to see his 100% singles run. You know it's going to happen. You know he's going to go on a singles run before he finally retires.
Oh, I'm sure.
That'll be phenomenal.
Well, I just can't wait till Uncle Dax gets to join CM Punk.
Oh, CMFTR is happening. I'm almost convinced of it now. Every chance they get, they take jabs. And MJF takes the biggest jabs. And I'm fine with that. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Like, yeah, well, it's going to happen. Yeah.
So now we get to the main event. A 1 hour Iron Man match. MJF and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. To MJF's credit, he made a comment about how he'd heard on social media, and basically fans, myself included, said, hey, MJF is tremendous on the mic. He is amazing on the microphone, but I don't know if he can really go 60 minutes with a guy like Bryan Danielson. I freely admit that that's what I said. And I freely admit that MJF proved me wrong in every goddamn sense of the word. Because damn, if this match didn't just... This was 5 stars. This had to be a 5-star match. It was done so well. And MJF plays this role so perfectly that people that want to be a bad guy in this industry, you have got to just watch MJF and do everything he does. Well, not everything, but most things. Because if you want to be a top guy the way top guys need to be now, MJF's the blueprint for it. I really believe that.
So I think it was a career-defining moment.
Oh, yeah.
For him. Because I never expected him to pull it off. And I like MJF, but I never thought he was going to be able to hang with Danielson, let alone beat him.
Yeah.
And again, thanks to the magic of AEW,
right.
Never know.
When you look at a guy like MJF going in there with Bryan Danielson, you really don't know how this match is going to be delivered, because we've seen a few Iron Man matches in our time, and it could have gone just 60 straight minutes of one sudden death fall, and that's it. Could have taken the Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar approach where they traded falls multiple times. You really didn't know what to expect. Did you have any kind of expectations going in either way?
I felt that. I remember telling Brian, I was like, "Hey, it's going to be tied,
right
at the end, and then time's going to run out." Like their falls counts. I thought it would be like 1 or 2 falls apiece, you know. But I mean, like you all said, this match was, it had me going, all right. I thought Bryan Danielson was going to do it. I was like, you know what, he's going to win the title, and then it was just like, and so just from beginning to end with the match, the spots that you're like, all right, why is this? Oh, he did that. And so, it's those things that just made this match and it just solidifies that you're looking at Bryan Danielson, one of the best wrestlers in the world today. And MJF, an amazing. He reminds me so much of the 80s heels that we have been missing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one that just kind of gets there and then he keeps going. And he perfects the craft of honing in each and every angle that he does against the opponent that he's at, so that you forget that he's done this shit before, you know?
Right.
You know, like the way he has kind of worked the whole the Bryan Danielson thing. I know I'm messing up the name tonight, but whatever, I'm old. It's just, you know, like going in the way that he had this, you're thinking, all right, he's going to win. Bryan Danielson's going to win because, you know, he's been working his ass off all these weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I liked it.
Brian, same question. Did you have any preconceived notions before this match even really got started?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure I was expecting Danielson to win for pretty much the same reasons that Rob was saying.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know of anybody on the planet that has been turning matches out like him. Over the last month or so.
Danielson has been many times over from wherever company he's been working, and this isn't just limited to AEW. He's been vocal about not wanting to become the champion, but wanting to work with as many people as possible.
Well, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. Like again, you find me a bigger workhorse over the last 2 months than him. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to be able to find one, and that's what that was the sole reason why I thought he was going to win, was that he had just been outperforming everybody on the planet. But I was wrong, pleasantly wrong.
So I liked that they stayed true to the rules. That, you know, the low blow happens, there's a DQ, a fall added to Danielson, and then there's the 2 pins in a row. That was the only thing that kind of was like, all right, you get kicked in the nuts, you're going to stay down that long? Like, is that how that goes? Must have been one hell of a kick to the nuts.
You ain't never been kicked in the nuts?
I mean, obviously, but still.
Rob.
Mm-hmm.
If you be so kind, mark the time. The next time we see Stan, first you kick him in the nuts, and then I'll kick him in the nuts.
Wait, that's not how Rochambeau is played.
And we'll see how long it takes for you to get up.
I mean,
Rochambeau.
He gets 2 straight falls from this, though, and honestly, I kind of expected him to kind of cower away, but he actually turned it on and kept at it, turned the pressure on, and that's what made. I mean, MJF just goes into another level at this point. Danielson, of course, is always tremendous coming back from the kind of that underdog position. The fans are I think, honestly, he could go out there and smack Tony Khan in the face and the fans would cheer him. I think he's that popular. So this was a great opportunity to see both sides of these guys, and we could have honestly seen, they didn't do this, but we could have seen them even attempt a double turn, and it would have been good.
I think that's your WWE booking coming into play.
Could be. It's one of those things where you could have easily seen the crowd change sides.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing with MJF. It's just popular pooing.
Yeah.
He's good at what he does. So, like, I mean, everything from the, dumping the trash can out on people,
That was funny.
For no reason but just to do it, pouring the drink on the kid that we all know was a work. But it's just, he is personifying that I am the heel, and it doesn't, like, even when Bryan Danielson tried to be a bad guy, people still cheered for him.
Right.
So, like, he's got that, shucks, I'm the good guy. It's just the way it's going to be.
So the matchup ends, right? We get to the end of the 60 minutes. We get the end of regulation. And really it looks like they're just going to go forward with a draw. And I thought to myself, man, that if they ended it here like this, I'd be okay with it because that was a hell of a matchup. But Tony Schiavone comes down and he's on the headset. Okay, I'll tell him, TK, I'll tell him. So he goes down and I'm like, wait a minute, something's about to happen here. And so then all of a sudden, of course, the gears start turning. Who's coming out? Who's making a return? Who's debuting or anything like that? But instead, they go into the overtime. They do sudden death, and what could have easily been just the shot with the oxygen tank, and that's it. Instead of that, we get another 7 minutes of action between the two. So just when we think really they're done, no, they're really not. And we get even more work. I mean, the referee takes the belt away from him. The referee takes the ring away from him. The referee, I mean, these were key moments, and it was just so well done.
I liked the moment where the ref finally just looked at him, go ahead, hit him with it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. You're gonna lose the title. Go ahead, do it.
Yeah. Go ahead, hit him with it. Like, then he'll win, and guess what? He wins.
Right.
I definitely don't think it was like on the fly, but I'm so glad they continued that match.
Yeah.
Because you might have legit seen a riot.
Oh, the fans in attendance. Bullshit. I mean, it was loud. It was palpable, man. You could feel it with the anger that was coming through the TV. And like I said, just because I personally felt I'd have been okay with the draw doesn't mean that 9,000 in attendance are going to let you get out of that building. Because, I mean, it was such a good match. You did not want to see it end that way.
Yeah, and I think I even, like, at that point, was trying to speculate, like, what was going to happen. Like, Danielson's going to win now. They pissed the crowd off. Now they're going to send him home happy.
Right. I did think that was going to be the way it went.
Yeah, especially after, again, the belt and the ring and, Danielson getting a couple of moves in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck. And when he goes out to the ring and they show him sitting there smirking with the oxygen tank, you're like, y'all got me, you motherfuckers.
And it was well done. I mean, I felt like it was a little overbooked, but it was still well done. If I got to call something overbooked, that's really splitting hairs, and that's what I said last night.
Well, I don't think it was overbooked. I think it was done correctly because, again, remember, not 5 minutes ago, they were ready to riot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
If they had finished that match.
Yeah.
And now MJF wins and everybody's just stunned.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it was done in a way where everybody comes out looking better of this match. Everybody. I thought Bryce Rensburg did a hell of a job, by the way, referee-wise. I mean, just keeping track of everybody. MJF, I don't know who his next direct challenger is, because I say Ricky Starks thinking in the meantime, right, between now and the pay-per-view. But Adam Page just wins
get over it.
You're just not a Starks fan. I'm trying to make fetch happen. Adam Page wins the Texas Death Match. You have an argument for that. Adam Cole is coming back in March this week or next week. An argument could be made for Mox. You know what I mean? Like, you've got room to say who could be in there.
I think we just need to wait and see. There are several ways you can go. I don't think he's going to lose it. But I think it's way too early for Ricky Starks to get thrown in that when you're just starting to build a lot of momentum.
Rob's just not. You guys are just not Starks fans.
No, it's got nothing to do with not being a fan. But think about it. You put him in there now, he's not going to win.
I'm not sure anybody's going to beat MJF until 24.
But if you're trying to build Ricky Starks up, why would you feed him to the most powerful heel you've got right now?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, again, 6 months of good, solid build, I'm down for it, because then you can maybe believe he's going to win the title.
Lay down.
But right now, there's no belief. So they would really have to pull a swerve and give him the title for him not to lose momentum, which is foolish.
Yeah.
So your theory can go suck it.
So who's your next challenger for MJF then?
I'm thinking Adam Cole gets in there somehow, because they've been going at it on Twitter a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Britt Baker makes a comment about MJF having half-hour promos and she's not on TV. Maybe something like that. Who knows? Maybe Wednesday night we get Cult of Personality. Maybe we get Kenny.
I swear, the amount of time that was left, my wife was telling me, she's like, something's still going to happen. There's 10 minutes left. I'm like, damn. I was exhausted. Like, AEW, they run you through the gamut emotionally, like with their pay-per-views, which is great. It's one of the reasons I love their shows so much. But 10 minutes left still on their allotted pay-per-view time. They could have easily did that. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's on a Wednesday. Maybe it's a Dynamite where Punk comes back. Or maybe it's not Punk at all. Maybe it's somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it could be anybody. I mean, Hobbs could beat Wardlow. Wardlow goes up and gets a run at him. Omega.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he takes a couple months off.
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, you look at it, and not all the time your world title your world title's there.
Right.
They could have a whole tournament or gambit of who's going to be the next competitor. And MJF could play mind games with all of them.
Yeah.
Like he's done in the past. So, I mean, you've got one of the most legit heels that plays the old game. And whoever you put up there, they could have a good story until they're ready to do whatever. I mean, who knows who the next person's going to be? That's the one thing that I like about AEW is when you think that they won't put the belt on somebody, well, shit, they do.
Yeah. That's going to be the question is who's next, yeah.
Right. I mean, I'd like to see Orange Cassidy get in some series with some people,
I love Orange Cassidy, man. He's so good.
Like, where was Jade Cargill on the whole thing?
Also a good question.
Like you have this girl who has an undefeated streak, and she wasn't even on the pay-per-view anywhere. Not even in a segment. Not even
But so Tony does explain that in his part of the media scrum. Is he understands there are people that should have been on the pay-per-view, but because you had an hour-long Iron Man match, pacing was, because if you added one more match, that really would have screwed somebody else up.
And he did admit that was a challenge pacing-wise because of the Iron Man match main event.
Yeah. So, because normally the AEW pay-per-views are just packed full of matches. And this was the right amount with the right amount of pacing. And, again, that would be one more match you'd have to set up and throughout the last few weeks, which, again, detracts from somebody else. And
so, looking at this overall pay-per-view, as we get ready to close out here, how do you rate this? Obviously, it's the top AEW pay-per-view so far this year. It's the only AEW pay-per-view this year. So, obviously that. But is this... we go to stars or do we do grades? What do we want to do?
We always do grades.
Yeah, we'll do
what the hell, Meltzer? Did you wake up?
No. MJF was making fun of Dave. I felt like I had to go to bat for him. Actually, that was the funniest part.
Go to bat for Dave.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to save Meltzer.
Oh,
get it, Dave Lord. Meltzer, save Meltzer. Anyway, so grading this pay-per-view, Rob, A to F, what do you think?
I would give it an A.
Yeah, I felt like this was a super solid event. I agree with you there. Brian, what do you think?
You can throw the plus on it for me.
A plus for Brian. Okay. I give it an A, that's awesome.
Yeah, you think about it, there was no filler. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there was no... This was one of those pay-per-views where you're like, all right, there's no match on here that could have been on a pre-show. And every pay-per-view that I've seen, WWE, AEW, wherever, always has one match on it that you're like, this could have been done on the pre-show.
Yeah, there was no match that really felt like that last night. Even the tag match, which we could have seen other things, yeah.
Yeah, and they kept, and like I told Brian, like, and I made the comment before, like, there was no over inundation of video montages explaining what was going on.
Right.
They were like, it was one of those where they were like, kind of like, all right, hope y'all were paying attention because we're going. It was, and every match was good. It wasn't, oh, we got to throw a 15-minute recap and then, now the match is going to be 5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, overall, this is the show of the year so far. I was really, really enjoying it. I liked everything we saw out of it. Curious what happens next. Hey, before I go to our Twitter plugs and all that, next week we have a very special edition of Corner to Corner. We've received a request of a review. I'm excited to do this one. The 1992 Royal Rumble.
Is that the first one?
92 Royal Rumble is the one Ric Flair won.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched since 1992. Flair won.
So when did it start? 89?
88.
88.
Very first Royal Rumble was 1988. Was only 20-man Royal Rumble. So, that's what we're going to be covering next week. We'll be long-form reviewing the Royal Rumble 1992. There's a lot of things to cover there, a lot of good notes. Guys, have you started your notes process yet, or still got to get to it?
Didn't do it.
Why do I need notes? You just spoiled it for everybody now.
Right. Flair won. Damn it, I quit.
No, what are we going to review? That Stan, ruins it? No, I'm kidding.
Wow. That's not very nice.
I will say, if you're watching Raw, my favorite Austin Theory moment happened.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
When they pulled Austin Theory in the ring with John Cena and a live mic.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing they did with Roman Reigns back years ago. And John Cena looks at him and says, "You know what I love about your name? It says what you are, a theory."
That's pretty damn good. I'll have to rewatch that. Alrighty, so hey, catch up with your boys on the Twitter bot. Catch up with Rob at Rob Hefner C2C. Catch up with Brian at Vlad Dragul C2C. That's VLADDRAGOOL C2C. And then, of course, you can catch up with me at Stan Grubb on Twitter. And the show's at C2C Radio Show on the Twitter bot. C2CRadioshow.com for all your corner-to-corner needs. Have a great week. We got a lot to cover next week in the Royal Rumble 1992. Good night, everybody.
Ooh. And we're clear.